Hello, fellow plate spinners. I'm really glad you're here for your weekly dose of authenticity and joy. I'm Selena Johnson, and your guide through this chaos of busy lives. In each episode, we unpack real tools to conquer overwhelm and dodge burnout. It's all about creating space for what truly matters. Whether it be through solo reflections or inspiring guests, this is your sanctuary for a more centered, productive you, with a healthy serving of that joy we talked about. Get ready to hit pause on life while we dive in to some real chats. Hope you enjoy. All right, you guys. So we're going to jump into this episode. And when you do, you're going to hear me already explain that I had to re-record after my whole recording got dumped. I'm having quite the time over here, but you know what? This is when you know you're just pushing yourself and you're just outside of your comfort zone. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we're learning. So my podcast platform changed. I am figuring it out. I am determined I will. I'm already feeling more confident, but something went on. I lost all my episode. I re-recorded it. And then at the end of this recording, it did it again. It had a challenge. And so you'll hear me have to re-record an ending. It just sounds edited and all put together. That's what's happening here. We are making the best and the most of what we have to work with. And we're not in our head about it. We're fine. Everything's fine. So I am very, very thrilled to introduce you to this series, which we're going to talk so much about in this episode. And I don't normally do an intro before I talk myself, but yeah, I think this one calls for it. And enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone. Hi. I recorded this whole episode and then my internet just died. So this will be a take 2 here in my world. I'm here for it. It's fine. There's a reason. I don't even know. I am thrilled to open up this series that I have been working on for so long and so eager to get it out into the world. I have some very, very special guests coming up that I have interviewed and worked with and chatted with, and it's all for the name of having a series called My Influencers. And so this episode is really going to be talking about influence and this, where this all came from. I wanted to first, though, give a couple quick announcements. One is if you are interested in getting my newsletter, which is really, I do send out a weekly pause. It's got tips, inspiration, announcements, exciting things, really things for you to chew on. And they're always 4 minutes or under. And I try to at least keep them 4 minutes or under. And I really wanted to tell you, if you want to do that, go to, what is it? My goodness. SelenaJohnsonSpeaks.com, and you'll see a big box pop up and you can sign up for my newsletter and connect with me there. And we'll make sure that you get that as we move forward. The other thing I wanted to let you know too is I am starting a group on April 1st. If a lot of you may know, I do at-home workouts and I help people with movement, nutrition, mindset, and all of that. I feel like there's several people in my group who are looking for a reset. And so we're going to start something fresh on April 1st. And I want to invite you in if there's any interest in working out at home. Let me know. We can talk about it. I know for me, it's been the thing that I can remain consistent at. And my community is always there cheering each other on. And so it's been a really, really wonderful experience for me all these years, and I love inviting people in. So April 1st, we're going to start a group, and if you're interested at all, you can just email me at selena@selenajohnsonspeaks.com. I'll also put a link in the show notes that you can, contact me there. Okay, so influence. Ooh, let's talk influence. This is so exciting. So this is the thing. I think that the world today has kind of changed the way that we use the word influencer, and I'm here to change that. I'm here to just have us think about it different. A couple months ago, it was after this whole wrestling I did with the Lord at the end of last year, and like asking, what does this podcast look like? Do I continue to do it? Is this what you want me to do? And all of that. Going into January, you guys know, if you've been on the journey here with me, that we kind of had a real fresh start, and it's felt so, so good. I can't even believe it, but we've put out like 22 episodes in a very short amount of time. So that's really cool. And we're doing 2 a week if you haven't figured that out. Yes, we did not have episodes last week, just to make sure that you're aware of that. You didn't miss any. We didn't have any last week. But the pause was because we're going to start this series called My Influencers. Where it came from is in January, and actually last year too, God was kind of tugging on my heart to potentially interview some people close to me. And I wasn't sure what that looked like or how, or if it would work or why, or any of those things. I didn't know any of that, but God had a plan. And then in January, I remember sitting in church one Sunday, and I was kind of just, I don't know, you know how those thoughts come. I have no idea what it was that triggered it. And it dawned on me, like, oh, I would love to do a series of episodes together that are all people who have had influence in my life or have influence in the world. And you guys, oh my goodness. It has been so special. It has been so special and so great. And so I've just been honored to have this time with these people that you're going to hear from. I have 8 guests that will be coming out. So over the next 8 weeks, we will be presenting you these influencers in my life, and I could not be more excited for you to get to hear from them. And there are people like in my life that would not normally be on a podcast, if you know what I mean. Some of them. I really though want to take a minute right now to just talk about influencer, back to what I was saying. So we hear it. I think, even over the last couple months, as I've been interviewing people and talking to people and telling them this was coming out, I would say the word influencer, and you could kind of see like a little cringe, like they weren't sure where I was headed with it. And then they felt safe after I would explain it. But, the fact is that we are influencers to others all day long. All of us are. And we are influenced all day long. All of us are. You don't really get to escape this, right? Who you spend your time with is who you will be influenced by, and who spends time with you is who's going to be influenced by you. I really think that this concept is tough for us to understand, because the world tells us that you do you, boo, everyone does their own thing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to say, like, you have a responsibility. I have a responsibility. Those around me have a responsibility to think about how they're influencing those around them. And I know that it all kind of happens so fast. You don't even really realize you're being influenced or you have influenced somebody, but it is there and it's real. And I think that the concept of influence is like when you have, by your actions or your example, you could shift another person. You have impact on individuals or communities by being who you are and behaving the way that you do, and saying the things that you do. I think that, with that said, we have the power to shape the world by our influence. And I know it's not always comfortable, because sometimes you just kind of want to do your own thing. But the fact is that we have influence on those around us, both positive and negative. We're not going to spend too much time here talking about the negative. I think you guys all know what those things look like. But I do think that there is power in the way that you respond and the way you behave and the way that you act. I was thinking about it because I know, like, often, as I'm sure you do, you have opportunities in conversations. And as you are, I'm going to take a sip of water. My throat's dry. Here at the Spinning Plates podcast, you guys, we don't edit. So we have these opportunities every day. So you're in a conversation with somebody, you're frustrated, it's not going the way that you want it to go. You have to think about it. or maybe you don't think about it, but you have the chance to literally pivot a conversation. And that to me is influence. Like when I know that we're going down a path, but if I were to not be defensive, but to seek truth, or if I were to just not be negative and to, go towards positive, then it could totally change the trajectory of that conversation, of that relationship. And that is influence, right? I also want to say, like, I'm not talking about toxic positivity here. Like, I'm not saying that anytime you're negative, it is a huge, like it can change the world. But I do believe over time, I'm not saying you can't have moments of frustration or anger or whatever, because those are, I believe, uh, emotions God has given us. But it is what you're doing in those things. Like he says, basically, it's not the anger that's the problem. It's how you're responding in the moment of anger. And to me, that is a great responsibility. I have to shift this every day. I have to pay attention every day to how I'm influencing those around us. How am I influencing my kids? How am I influencing those at work? How am I influencing you here? And I think that those who've been in my life have used those opportunities too, right? I am excited because I think that talking about influencers in a way that's different than what social media does can just cause us to like reflect a little bit. Like, how am I behaving in my everyday life? How am I encouraging others and building them up? How am I an influence that I would actually want them to emulate out into the world? Or how am I an influence that I really hope they don't go do that to someone else? Right. And that when you start to think about it that way, and when you take time, ooh, it can be very convicting if you're not feeling it right, if you're not going the right way. I think about, like, I have an opportunity every single day to push play on a workout and move my body or not. And when I wake up. You guys, if you follow me, like I do a little dance in the kitchen. That's not for you, it's for me, because it gets my body moving, gets me going. I get my mama juice. I'm loving all of it. And then there's moments where I'm like, I don't want to go push play. Like, I don't want to do the thing today. But I know that I have a group of people on the Zoom waiting for me to show up and wanting to work out together. And when that happens, that has influence on me, and it makes me stop and make a choice differently. And I think that is what it means to have influence. Now, for me, as I looked at these individuals that I have interviewed, I really kind of looked at, like, what's the common thread? And it was so special to realize and understand that all of them point me to Jesus. All of them in my life have been somebody who has shown Jesus to me. And it really got me thinking about my piece of the puzzle and my influence out into the world is, am I somebody who's pointing them to Jesus? Am I somebody who is reflecting his character, and somebody that if they do come into contact with me, are they seeing Jesus? And I really love that, because he's our greatest influencer. you know He's the one that we should be emulating and following and chasing. He's the one. And I think that when you make the choice to surround yourself with an influencer, uh, whether it be a friend, or maybe you're close with your parent or whatnot, you uh, are making a choice to follow them. And if they're following Jesus, then they're pointing them to Jesus. And I was really excited about all of these people that I have interviewed. I was looking at it, I was like, oh man, that's so sweet, Lord, that there are people in my life that have drawn me closer to him. And boy, do I want that to be my legacy when I am gone. I want people to know that I pointed them to Jesus. So that's a really great feeling to know that I've had people around me who have done that for me and changed my life because of it. So we are going to go into this series, and as you're listening, like I said, over these next several weeks, as you're listening, there's going to be just some sweet interviews with people close to me. There'll be some poignant moments. There'll be some thought-provoking moments. There's going to be a lot going on. And as we walk through this, I just want you to be thinking about the influence you have on others and those that you're surrounding yourself with. What influence do they have on you? And I think you guys probably, like this, your circle of influence, right? That's what they call it. So, there's those that are really, really, really close to you. And then there's those that are a little bit further out and those that are a little bit further out. And I think it's a really good opportunity as we're going through this to just be thinking about where people fall into that for you and where you fall into it for them too. So, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I'm so tempted to like tell you who's coming up for the series, right? Like I want to like share it all with you, but I also know that that I want some of them to be a little bit of a surprise, and I'm really excited about it. So it'll be really good. So what's going to happen, you guys, is this is obviously our episode launching it, and then what I am going to do is have meditations between. So I have done that before, and I want to kind of talk about that here real quick, but I've done spinning plates meditates is what we call it. And it's just a 2 or 3 minute, faith-based meditation, just an opportunity to, really it's breath work and just taking a minute to be with Jesus. And so what we're going to do is we'll do an influencer, and then the following episode will be a meditation. And the first influencer is going to be up on Monday, which I am excited. So that first one is my sweet Grams. So Grandma Donna is going to be the first influencer. I have put so much heart and I guess intention into this series, and I really hope that it serves you well. So with that, next one will be a meditation, and then on Monday, like I said, you'll get to hear from my grandma, who I know that a lot of you know her already because you know me in real life, and a lot of you haven't gotten to hear her, and you'll know why I love her so much when you do. All right, hope you have a good rest of your week. Bye. Thank you for listening. I'm just so grateful that you would take the time to be here with me today. I hope that if there's anything that inspired you or got you excited, that you would share it to social media or send me a message with any input or feedback that you have. And just really appreciate the support and the encouragement that I get from you guys all the time. I will keep showing up, and I hope you keep listening.